Blog Talk Radio.
I saw a cloud today. I watched it change its shape into a dinosaur, a whale, a mermaid, and a plane. The mermaid was pregnant, and then it turned into a Doberman, and the Doberman just turned back into the sky. Then I saw a real plane flying awfully low, man, dropping toxic chemicals all over my town. It says to help us, but they're just trying to hold us down and try and take away our clouds and replace them with their own crop dust in downtown. They save the ozone, but they don't care about your home. They're just trying out new ways of population control. We're young and we're bold. We can throw away their laws and replace them with our own. And the story will be told about the group of young adults who overthrew the throne, shone a light on just how bright this world could surely shine. Utopia works conceptually, but even in reality, to overthrow the state, we all gotta be in the right state of mind.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in once again to the Universal Truth Evolution Blog Talk Radio channel for our daily report. As many of you know, we're getting our format together here as we keep keeping on, bringing you information that most places won't talk about. So, eventually, we'll be integrating these daily reports into the show different ways. So today's show will be an hour. We'll kind of delve into all the various topics of interest that we all share. And once again, of course, this is best done as a dialogue after all, so please feel free to post any questions in the chat room for those of you listening to the live stream, or call in as well with anything you might want to share or say with us here online today. And so with that, just want to take a brief moment to thank all of you once again who are listening now live, as well as those who are listening in the archives, for all of your support. Everyone on the team, we can't thank all of you enough. And me personally, I want to give my own personal thanks to everyone who has shown their support in all of this. And it's really helped me get in focus what I really want to do here on this wacky trip to Camp Human this time around. So thank all of you for your support, deeply from my heart. Thank you. And we are going to continue to have awesome guests. That is one of the things that we've been working hard on here. The Universal Truth Evolution is to compile our guest list back again, because there was a shakeup in schedule, and it wasn't anything necessarily bad that happened or anything. It's just that the format changed, so we needed to kind of shift everyone around and see what their availability is. So we are going to get a lot of guests back, which is awesome, and then we're also going to get some really, really cool guests that we haven't had on before. Just to give everyone a little preview, tomorrow, for instance, Roger will be back hosting an interview with Renato Legato, and that'll be an interesting one. And then December 22nd, we have Stephen Bassett. Then we also have Stuart Swerdlow coming up shortly after that. A little bit later down the line will be Joseph Aguirre. And then a little bit later down the road, we're going to have everyone's favorite Universal Truth Evolution friend, Andy Basiago, back to have a little chat about the various coolness that he brings to the table. But we also have some other great guests lined up, too, including Dr. Carmen Bolcher, and also a potential interview date with fellow light worker Jessica Schaub. And we have a lot of very cool stuff coming down the pike here, and there's just more to come as we're kind of, working our tails off here to just bring more of this information that we all want to hear about. So speaking of information we want to hear about, let's get right into a little bit of it. And everyone, of course, is sending our sympathies out to Julian Assange and his endeavor to, bring transparency to this world laden with secrecy. And he has been freed on bail now from his charge of rape, apparently. We all know how these coincidences happen of all of a sudden, we have warrants and pending cases, and now it's an issue, but now they're going to put in the effort, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But meanwhile, the interesting thing that really needs to be reported in this case, though, because yes, we all do support WikiLeaks' endeavors in their own ways, and but there was Assange himself really didn't do anything. That's the reason here's this rape charge, right? The person who has been allegedly charged with leaking this material is apparently not being treated very well, and his name is Bradley Manning. I'm not sure if many people are familiar with that, and this man who was arrested. There is a link now that I posted in the chat room there that has a little write-up about the situation there. His supporters have went to the media, and they've reported stuff as they're not giving this guy even access to a pillow or bed sheets during any of his confinement. I'll read a little excerpt here from it. As Salon.com's Glenn Greenwald reported on Wednesday, Manning, who has been accused of leaking classified documents to WikiLeaks, has never been convicted of any crime but has been detained at the U.S. Marine brig in Quantico under conditions that constitute cruel and inhumane treatment, and by the standards of many nations, even torture. So they're making this guy pay for doing this. They're making an example out of him. I think it's cool that people are supporting Assange. He's really, in a sense, he's really kind of a front. He really is kind of a puppet, and to a degree too, because he's just kind of the man taking all the eggs being thrown at him, so to speak. But meanwhile, this Bradley here is taking the beatings. So let's send all good intentions are made for him on his path, his way. So we have to stay informed here about these issues because, as we know, there's a lot of people who consider Assange and such like a terrorist or a spy and all these other things, and it's kind of like, well, like once again, I pose the question back at them. It's like, well, how is this different from the Patriot Act, or all the cameras set up in I'm sure in London and all those other streets like that, where they're just watching us for no reason. So what's really the difference there? And once again, it's not like we didn't necessarily know this stuff was going on. So it's interesting. But on that note, for one in our favor, really, of the snooping, there was a recent court ruling that the law enforcement needs warrants to snoop on our emails now. So unless the Supreme Court strikes that down, that will stay in place. And this is a quote from the article from rawstory.com. And for those in the archives, all of these links will be posted on the archive information, so you guys can get all that too and see where these reports are coming from yourself too. And but as is reported in rawstory.com, given the fundamental similarities between email and traditional forms of communication, it would defy common sense to afford emails lesser Fourth Amendment protection, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled. So that's a cool thing for those of us in the United States here about snooping on emails. That's a big one, considering, like I said, we have contrasting laws here. And forgive me if anything kind of weird happens here. My switchboard's kind of going wacky on me. So, but anyhow, so this is a good thing once again, and because now it's kind of helping to push back on some of those totalitarian rules that were set in place after 9/11. Under the guise of our protection, of course. We gotta stay safe in good old America, because as our good friend Ben Murphy pointed out on our show last week, that how a lot of Americans are taught that if we dare to venture beyond the borders of America, we may indeed fall off the earth. So I beg all of our international listeners and supporters out there to bear with us, poor Americans. They really did try to dumb us down. It's not a joke, So we're not stupid. They just didn't tell us very much, and let alone want us to, even see the BBC. I mean, even though we all know how these mainstream media outlets are, anyways. But even still, So it's all good. So you'll find me probably apologizing a lot for America, because you know what? No one else in the media is doing it. So, and I'm American, so why not, right? So, that's the thing. And speaking of apologizing for Americans, Miley Cyrus, I know all of us are big fans here, right? Oh yeah, we love Disney Channel and rock it till our eardrums bleed, I'm sure. But anyways, there's a thing came up with dear old Miley that by most standards I would not report on. I'll post this link in the chat room once again about this. But she was recently videoed taking a bong rip out of something that was not marijuana, but was in fact something called Salvia divinorum. Now, Salvia divinorum is a type of sage, and I'm going to post another link in the chat room here soon with the wiki to that on Salvia divinorum. And what that is, it's actually a different type of sage, and there's thousands and thousands of types of sage. This one in particular has very hallucinogenic properties in high doses. And the interesting thing about this, though, is that it's been used for ages as in a lot of native cultures by the shamans for what's called entheogenic use, which is spiritual use for kind of awareness, not to party. So, and there's a good reason, because it can be very potent. And the thing about it is it actually does sort of act similar to both, or can act similar to both LSD and marijuana, but it's not the same thing. And it tends to be it either is a very relaxing kind of thing when done properly, or it can be, actually I've heard many reports of it kind of being pretty terrifying, actually. But such is the case with any kind of substance like this when you're not in the right mind state, so to speak. But the reason why I bring this up is because this plant is legal in California. I believe it's 15 states that have it as a legal substance for consumption. But there is a lot of practical uses for it, because in appropriate dosages, it can be used very effectively as a muscle relaxant and to aid in things like sleep. And it has a lot of medicinal uses. And the one thing I was it was crazy how sometimes, take note, everyone, that we all are psychic, that we all are tuned into the collective consciousness. So when you get kind of little thoughts like one day when I was looking at the sage information, I was saying, I could see Miley Cyrus one day end up on TMZ taking a bong toke of this thing, and then lo and behold, there it is. And I'm just like, oh crap! Now we're gonna have all these soccer moms, up in arms about oh no, we got to do stuff about this crazy, crazy plant, not another one. God messed up again. We better fix that as soon as possible, right? So yeah, this is why I wanted to just bring this awareness to at least the group that we're sharing here, so everyone knows about Salvia divinorum and how that once again it's a plant, and it's really how it's applied. Now, I don't know what Miley was doing, and honestly, I really don't care. It's really the reaction that I would like to see more people aware of this plant, just more aware of plants in general, and how we don't need the pills to get things done with our bodies in very cool ways. I actually, personally, I'll share this story with everyone since we have plenty of time right now. I have actually recently used some salvia to help me when I was getting an infection, and just I do practice a lot of energy psychology and energy medicine, and I was using that to aid in a lot of belief change, a lot of soul journeying, shall I say, and retrieval work, you can say, and I in one day I went from having a pretty high temperature. I believe it got over 101 degrees, and then the next day waking up perfect, pretty much, except for maybe a slight congestion. And this is very much non-characteristic of some of the times when I would get some of these infections. And it was, and I know that the salvia helped not only just with the aches that we get when we get sick, of course, too, but then just being able to focus on in a different sort of bandwidth of perception to really sort of look at myself, look at the sickness, and then kind of find its energetic root, and then correct it, and then feel good the next day. And as a tool, like something like that, which is how the shamans use these plants. So don't let anyone mystify you, honestly, like with the shaman thing. It's kind of what it is. It's medicine, but it's just a different way. But that is how one of the applications of these hallucinogenics within a medical context. You often hear stories of people having healings after going to Peru and drinking the ayahuasca, as well as some other things like iboga and other plants. They're very, very strong hallucinogenics, but when done with the proper intent, they can have profound results, and that's the thing that needs to be looked into. And even in the article I posted there about Miley, there was a certain kind of light there sort of shedding on it, but one thing that they did even state in that article was, here's a quote from it, it says, although evidence seems to show that salvia use is relatively safe in short term, little is known about the long-term effect of the salvia, and studies are underway to find out if it holds any medicinal value. Studies are also being conducted to learn whether or not the drug holds any addictive properties. So this is the thing. This is good. I think it's good that there is more research into this in a serious way, though, and taking it not just into account what Big Pharma says and how we're going to market this, because not like that, just to kind of inform people, like I'm trying to do now. I've seen a question in there that isn't in all caps, but I'm just going to kind of assume that it was to this subject, was what conditions would be proper. Well, it just depends on the context, just like anything. But once again, if you set the intention for healing, then those would be the right conditions. And be that medication, even honestly being drinking. If you're not wallowing in your self-pity and stuff like that, and you're like, you know what, I'm honoring the fact that I feel a little down or just whatever, a little depressed, or maybe I need a drink to calm down to go to sleep, but you're doing it with the intentions of healing, of kind of saying, well, maybe at one point I won't need to do this, or I'll always do this one when I feel like it's fun, and things like that, instead of necessarily having to, use it, which is fine. That's your path. It's cool. No judgment there. That's what I'm saying. It's all in the intent. So, but yeah, it's very important we stay informed on things like this, because even like the effects of salvia, like I'll just kind of go into a little bit since we do have time, and I'm not seeing any questions or callers at this point. So, anyone, once again, if you feel like calling, or if you actually do have a question that you want to post in the chat room, please do. And but just real quick, I'll go into the effects. Is on the Wikipedia, they do talk a little about this too, which is a fair assessment. And I did post another link in the chat room, a little bit about the plant. But the potency time really is only from about 10 to 15 minutes. And depending on how it's ingested or how it's taken in is the potency, as well as kind of some other stuff. But they can concentrate it too, but I'm not familiar with that process at all. But it can definitely zip you off to a different dimension, or it can really kind of almost be like having a couple of quick shots. and it does inebriate you. So this is one thing that you definitely do not want to be doing anything other than like sitting down or laying down, or even walking. Sometimes it's just might not be a good idea. And as far as the research that has been done on it, it does not. Although it has similar effects as LSD, it's not the same thing as LSD. So it doesn't have the deteriorative effects on the brain from any observed conditions so far. But yeah, I just want to kind of go a little bit over the salvia because it is a legal plant for most of us, and like I said, brewed in tea, one like a half of a leaf or a third of a leaf in tea or something like that, and just try a little dosage like that. If you're having some aches or something, or you need to relax for sleep, you'll love it. It'll work great. You probably more than likely you're not going to zip off to into some other dimension. You're just going to be, oh wow, I do feel like I took like a shot or something, but you're not drinking alcohol anyways. And Alex, I do see your question in there, chat room. And no, I have not tried ayahuasca. I have heard, I've talked to many who have at different places, including those who've made the trips to Peru, up the mountains, and one day, actually, one of my good friends, I guess you could say bandmate in a sense, in our side project, the Dead Shaman, he actually did the whole Peru trip, and had the experience with the shaman, like Ike talks about and such, and one of these days I would love to have him on the show and have him relay the story himself, because honestly, I think a lot of us that are here now listening to this or might listen to this in the archive, I think we'll resonate with it deeply, because how a lot of us are kind of at the point where we're like, we want substance, we want we've heard everyone pitch their workshops to us and stuff like that in the sense, and we want to see how it applies and what do we really know ourselves, because once again, we're all psychic, we're all little god machines in a sense, so capable of miracles of all varieties. We just have to calibrate our senses and manifest those things that we want. So, but no, I have not tried ayahuasca. But it's interesting that everyone does actually report the same types of experiences. And so it's apparent that for those who have done the studies into these various entheogenic plants, that apparently all of these plants definitely have a bandwidth of consciousness that on the whole people tend to synchronize with. Like you hear the same thing about DMT and other substances like that. So it's intriguing studies, really, to see how once again this shared consciousness is reflected back at us even within the plants as we kind of, I guess you could say we bind with them and for a bit and kind of see through that. And once again, we see once we're all connected, even on that level. So, it's very interesting how how once again that the Earth really does provide us with quite more than we really need. but yeah, so very interesting thing, and that's and as a lot of us know here too, that the whole concept of the drug trade, the drug industry, it's heavily weighted and highly biased. And then we get into things like the war on drugs, and then we know how effective that has been, right? Oh, yeah, it's been, thank you, Nancy Reagan. Thank you for having us spend all this time and money on that effective war. Just like all these other effective wars. They've been great, haven't they, everyone? Yeah. Good call, people, good call. But anyways, apparently some people on the inside do actually kind of wake up to the fact that, yeah, it's futile, it's lame, and I'm going to post a link in the website here. I'm going to post a link in the chat room here for those who might be interested in the full article about an ex-minister, Bob Ainsworth, basically saying that, yeah, we should make all drugs legal. He's just saying that this is, as he put it in his own words, they spent billions of pounds without preventing the wide availability of drugs basically. And so, and it's true. And think about how many billions of dollars we've spent, and I can only imagine what it's like in a lot of Asian cultures, knowing that they're even more stringent with their laws. And it really is amazing to see like more and more these conservatives. I mean, actually, even in California here, in the United States, we recently had a vote on legalization across the board of marijuana, and it was fairly narrowly defeated, under 10% of the vote. But it had support from Republicans, Democrats, because they're all just kind of like, yeah, we're spending too much money enforcing something that is already going on, and likewise we can actually be, kind of making money off of this and putting it back into the programs that all got cut, like education and healthcare and stuff like that. We already have plenty of law enforcement, so I think we're cool there. But on the other stuff, I think we can use a little shot in the arm. So, I thought this quote from Mr. Ainsworth was a good one, though, as he put it. He said, "It is time to replace our failed war on drugs with a strict system of legal regulation to make the world a safer, healthier place, especially for our children." We got to think of the children. See, the reason why I like this, though, even though it's kind of like business as usual in a sense, he's talking about at least kind of like saying, well, at least you can have the choice, not like, oh, we're going to throw you in jail, for whatever. Honestly, because I think someone who's really, addicted to heroin or something like that, they need help. They don't need to be put in jail, because that really does breed a criminal. They need help, that's what they need. And so I think that compassion needs to be put back into the system in some way, shape, or form. I don't think our drug administrators and people who make the policies in the drug war should be cops. Maybe they should be people who maybe have gotten over addictions, have been off them for decades or something, and have compassion for it, and maybe have a background with law, or maybe law enforcement for that matter. Things like that. Someone who actually has a good perception on it. Because to me, I see a lot of disconnection. Because obviously, right, that's what we talk about here with the Illuminatis and the secret government. It's like there's that disconnection. But, it's there, obviously, right? Because we still have the pageantry of the elections. So we still are parts of these corporations. We still have things like Blog Talk Radio, So we have to do what we can to really state our opinion. So, but you know what? This planet is cool and all. We love it. Mother Gaia, let's get off of it for a while, shall we? And actually, what I'm going to do right now, because this is just scheduled for an hour show, let's go ahead and just take a little quick break here. I'm going to play us a song, and it's going to be, since I made mention of the shamanistic stuff, let's go ahead and play a little bit of Dead Shaman here. This is actually myself and my good friend Stephen Griffin playing a little bit of mellow meditation music about weathering the storm. If it starts at some point, and it's not. So, because my control panel is just totally messed up here. So, I don't know. I want to keep ad-libbing here until it either starts or something else happens here. So, all right, there we go. Woo! Success. All right, grab a drink, everyone. Have a bathroom break. Rock on. I'll see you guys. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for sticking around. It's Wednesday, December 16th, and this is, once again, the Universal Truth Evolution Blog Talk radio channel. I am your host, Jerry Avalos, today, giving you the daily report. And it's a fairly free-flowing day here, so anyone in the chat room or you guys want to call in or have any questions, even off topic, on topic, anything you guys might have even, dug up recently in the daily stuff and want to discuss, by all means, let me know. But like I said, let's talk some space, shall we? As many of us follow the various theories of our future, shall we say, especially with 2012 coming up, everyone has their ideas of what's going on. And as we've heard many times of these mass coronal ejections that are going to do all kinds of things, anything from, raise our vibration to totally fry us to cinders. Or maybe it'll fry us to a different vibration. Would that work? Either way. It's already happening, these mass coronal ejections, and in fact, there was one documented on August 1st, and I will post this link in the chat room once again, for those who want to see some cool pictures of the blasts and stuff. But what was interesting about this one is that it was on a very, very large scale that they really haven't seen before, but only statistically kind of theorized would happen. So doesn't this kind of sound like some of the theories that we were already hearing from scientists and mystic alike about this time? So it is already happening, and notice, we're still here. Notice, my cell phone still works. But who knows? Maybe there's just a small thing to come. Maybe there's more. But either way, it kind of goes to show. It's kind of like not everything necessarily means doomsday, and in fact, it usually doesn't, because it's been, I don't know, tens of thousands of years, as far as we know, since something like, other than maybe like the nuclear bombs, shall we say, that wiped out a lot of people. And even then, it's like now they're back. As far as the city and such. So it's been a long time since there's really been a doomsday. And as fossil records show, 2012, these swings back and forth through the galaxy happened and will keep happening, and there has been pole shifts and all these other things. And you know what? I'm talking to you right now, so I'm guessing life fared pretty well on this planet. So that's one thing. Because one thing we talk about communicating ourselves, to some of the people who might have closed minds or skeptics who like to be skeptical just to be skeptical. When they say there's been extinctions before, it's like, well, yeah, there's extinctions going on right now, and it's like they'll say there's been a comet that wiped out all life. It's really all life. Well, how are we talking right now then? And that's when you can point them to works like the spontaneous life experiments with the sterilized sand and such like that. But I like to bring up a lot of these things because once again, here's one of those things that could just kind of fall through that might be left in theory about these kind of unseen coronal explosions and ejections that we've heard so much about, even in these different black op connections and such, right? That everyone's all scared about. Well, it's like, yeah, I'm sure there's good reason to be concerned. And yeah, it's good to have proper shielding in space, I think. But at the same time, we don't have to do it in fear. You know what I mean? We can just do it, right? And here we go. We see, once again, that, strange stuff happens in the solar system, and somehow, life just keeps on keeping on. So, despite all the wacky theories and whatever, and as a lot of people don't like to segue things, but we have a caller here from the 336 area code, and caller, are you there?
I am.
Hello.
I had a comment when they were talking about the ayahuasca.
Uh-huh.
Did you know that they are using that to treat addiction in South America, heroin, crack, whatever your addiction happens to be, and the people, once they go through this problem, using the ayahuasca or the DMT, they no longer have their addiction because they go on such a spiritual journey using this. It's done with shamans, and they no longer have a desire for whatever they were addicted to. It's actually curing people.
Yeah, I can totally understand why. One thing that, from what I've heard on from the experiences, just knowing what I know about, even just out of body experiences and such, it sounds like you're literally kind of out of your body, and you're able to kind of energetically make these decisions that alter things in our physiology. It's very, very interesting. Do you have any
I think it was Grant Hancock is where I got that information.
Oh, awesome.
Pretty sure.
Just going to ask.
Look in his book, Supernatural. Mm-hmm. It's got some really good information in there. So I just wanted to share that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for calling, and thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
So, is there anything else that you might want to add, or anything at all?
No, just that it's curing people, and that's probably part of the reason why they don't want it up here, because they prefer to keep us dumbed down. And I was thinking, back to the last show that Aaron did about, how he's concerned with everyone waking up, and watching the videos that Charlie Veitch does about the students in England, and reading on the Internet about people in Greece and in France, picketing and going up against the government. And I'm thinking, why doesn't that happen here? Well, it does to a degree. People did a lot of picketing for 9/11, a lot of 9/11 truthers, but the media just simply doesn't cover it.
Yeah.
And another thought I had is that they're blasting us with that harp to try to lull people into this false sense of security.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I've at one point I really got interested in harp because just for my own like reasons, I was really curious as to how if one can really project intentions over all of our electric transmissions, and so when I heard about harp, it really became intriguing. And then when you realize that in a sense, if you have this network sort of tied in, that any like cell phone array can be used in conjunction with this kind of as a harp system in a sense. So then you get the sense that we're all kind of swirled in this massive intention, be it consciously or unconsciously through the programming that's kind of being pumped out through it. So in a sense, like yes, we are. But on the other sense, like how it's interesting because this is why I do endorse David Wilcock's analysis of a lot of stuff, because meta-analysis, because he does a fantastic job, and just his own knowledge kind of put together. And I agree with him on this, that basically when you're around someone or something that has a more kind of balanced vibration, shall we say, it grounds everyone, and so that effect is nullified. And I think all of us feel this, like when we do come together, like even on this show, or just when we're in the presence of like a friend or something like that, or even just watching, or listening to a song that we like, for that matter.
Well, I know that you are 100% correct on that, because several years ago, I participated in this thing. It's called Diksha, and it comes out of Chennai, India, from this place called the Oneness University, and they had over 1 million people praying for the United States and sending this Diksha energy to us. And I was a participant at this where I worshipped. And they came and they would put, their hands on your head and transfer this energy. Well, I'm laying in bed on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, and all of a sudden I'm getting this Diksha energy. And I went to church, and I was telling this to the people that gave the Diksha blessing. And the gentleman told me that particular day, there were over 1 million people in India sending that energy to the United States.
Very cool.
And he and his wife received it. I got it, So I know that you're right. When more of us come together with a singular thought, it changes, because you're creating with your mind.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and
even if it's only in a chat room.
Oh, yeah, because collectively those thoughts that we share take form as some kind of manifestation here. And that's
absolutely.
So that's part of that whole thought form process, and it's important, I think, and for everyone in the chat room, and as well as in the archives and in the future, so absolutely, because it does, time does work, both ways. So I mean, in the future, in a lot of ways, we're receiving that energy right now for the accomplishments that we're going to make, such. So very cool. Yes, this is a great conversation. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. I'm appreciating the show and the information that you have. I have several plants of which I'm not going to name that I grow in my garden, and you can buy them from online garden stores that are hallucinogenics. And I also was procuring some wild morning glories. And the seeds from that, they say, and I was thinking, I have friends that are Native American to do some seeing and spiritual journeying. And I haven't attempted it yet because I don't know how to use any of it. So I'm still checking into that, and I know that if you're not in a higher spiritual level when you go about this, you have a really negative experience. You may have one anyhow, but if you're not spiritually prepared for it, it can really take you down a bad path.
Yeah, you have from my experience, kind of dipping into some different things, it really seems like you have to really not be in a place of fear, anger, jealousy, revenge, just kind of things that are just, sort of conflict, you know, kind of thing, and then within yourself too. I think that's the other thing that most people don't talk about is you have to be honest to yourself about who you are and what you're going to see, what you may see, and what it may do to you.
Right.
As long as we have those things there, and it helps to be in a trusting environment, of course. We don't do it someplace
right.
But
right.
But yeah, actually, one day what I might do is maybe I'll get a panel and just speak on some of those other things, like, you know, because I know there's other things like San Pedro too is another one. And yeah, a lot of these there's other medicinal plants that a lot of people aren't aware of too that I think that it'd be cool to let others know about. You know, that are legal. They're not, and they don't, and they really aren't even that. They're not hallucinogenics, but they're just good to have. So.
Oh, the stuff that I grew was hallucinogenics, but they're legal, and there are a lot of people that grow these that aren't even aware that they're illegal or that they're hallucinogenics. You know, so I get away with mine because they're still legal. So
yeah, exactly.
You just kind of have to be in the know.
Yeah. You have to check the laws in your particular state or country because they do vary. But yeah, here in California where we're at, we can grow quite a bit, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, so and that's just a good skill for people to have, like how Aaron would talk about being prepared, knowing how to grow things of any kind of variety. It's just good.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so very much, and good conversation, and enjoying your program. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your support. Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
Bye. So, yeah, that awesome call there. Once again, bringing more awareness about some of these earth energies, because they are important. That is one thing that all of us can do, and really, you can grow herbs in your kitchen. You don't need land. You can get little grow kits with little indoor grow lights where you can grow your own herbs, and they can just be there and you can use them. And that's the thing about when you grow your own stuff, it tastes better too. So, and it has all the nutrients in it, especially those of us like in America, for instance, when they import the produce, a lot of times it's irradiated. So you have this irradiated, moldy fruit or vegetable that you have to really clean very well before you ingest, as suggested by Jeff Harvey in his prior show. And that's another guest that I'm sure we'll get back to at one point, by the way. But yeah, so that is one thing that I highly recommend for everyone. You know, even if you're in an apartment, you can do this. Like I said, in your kitchen, or if you have a windowsill, you can just grow your own peppermint. So you can have your own peppermint tea there, and something like that. A little peppermint and some chili powder is great for things when you have like a cold. As a tea, things like that we can use instead of getting Tamiflu or something. Excuse me, and you'll see how we can do it ourselves. We don't need the pills, as a lot of us know here. So that was a little segue back because, like I said, we all as it was suggested in prior shows, everyone loves UFOs, right? Everyone loves UFOs, especially because they're becoming IFOs now. They're becoming identified flying objects. They're starting to change their name. So it's exciting times. And as I was saying, we have so much wild speculation over a lot of these subjects. I like to, kind of bring them to the main, forefront. And one of the places that it's like the Wild West in terms of this is a little place called AboveTopSecret.com. Many of you are probably familiar with AboveTopSecret.com. It's one of the longest-running alternative subject, shall we say, forums and basically forums. They've greatly expanded over the years. But a lot of the members there are all varieties, and I say it's like the Wild West because it's wild. So you get everything in there from the government disinfo agent to the kind of skeptic who just is there to challenge everyone, to the newbie who's just kind of like, is any of this stuff real, or is everyone out of their mind, to people like you and I who are well-versed in various things and different topics that we like to look into, and everything in between. And you have a lot of professionals in these realms, too, talking there, ufologists and such. And so I thought I would share a link in the chat room and in the archives, which is highlighted on their website, which is called Classic UFO Cases, and in there you'll see links to various threads of all kinds that deal with everything from Roswell to the British Roswell, as it's called, the Hill abduction case, the Battle of L.A., the UFOs over D.C. in 1952, the Phoenix Lights, as well as some other contributions from other members there, too. And so the reason why I feel it's important to kind of include forums, I mean, there's the same reason why I feel it's important to have the chat room, to create community, to create interaction, and as we just got done discussing with the last caller, that collective consciousness helps us to manifest, the forms which are taking shape in our collective minds here about the reality we want and we want to see, which includes more cool things in the air, that have pretty lights and can zip off. So I think that'd be cool. We're getting tired of the same old planes leaving those cotton trails over us. So, Ed Chavez is asking me if I can talk about quantum jumpers, if I know about it. Is it possible you can elaborate on what you mean by quantum jumpers there, Ed? That quantum word is one of those big, kind of open-ended ones. So, and in what form? Because are we talking anti-Bosco teleportation? Are we talking kind of voyages through time here, through the mind? So if you can get a little elaboration on that, that would be awesome, and I'd love to get to that. But just like I was saying, because we have the interaction here, like that is just demonstrated, and but that also gives us the other people's perspective on the situation, because other people will ask the questions too. But like as we just saw here, we have, and as I always encourage, is asking the hard questions, asking the ones that don't have the easy answers. And you have people in forums doing this, because for instance, Whitley Strieber's Dreamland has a very active forum too, where you have all types, once again, asking various questions when these situations come up, and everyone has their different areas of expertise, and they chime in on it. At one point, I'll showcase a case in Spain, a UFO case in Spain, which I helped with some of the image analysis on, where you had some people even breaking down how the math on the refraction of the camera's lens in order to determine, to corroborate actually the potential distances from the picture where it's taken of how large this object can be. And it's very, very detailed stuff. And I got into anomalies in the different color channels and stuff like that. So it's interesting, these cases, because once again, we're trying to inform. And so when someone says, well, they're just pictures, well, the thing about these pictures is that they have anomalies within them usually too, like things that just shouldn't happen. Same thing with the electronic voice phenomenon with paranormal research and contacting spirits, how the voices appear on bandwidths in the audio analysis that usually shouldn't have voices carrying those frequencies. So you have a lot of different stuff like that. So okay, I'm just kind of reading the questions here. So okay, as far as the quantum, I kind of have an idea what you're talking about there, Ed. Yeah, you know what? That's like a show in itself. He's talking about in terms of the how the quantum physicists and the parallel realities and how that can be applicable to all of us. And in a sense, it is all the time anyways. It's like science really is just trying to understand our natural processes I mean, even like our roads and stuff are analogous, are you know, poor imitations of our bloodstream, you know, things like that. So yeah, and actually, for instance, one of the ways that we are quantumly jumping around every night is while we're sleeping or whenever we do sleep, because our physiology is synchronizing with a energetic source above this third dimension. So in a sense, your consciousness is just kind of like, you know, zipping through the different channels of possibility and probability, and you're kind of jumping around this quantum haze, and then eventually you sync back up with this collective reality, just like everyone else does. And then that's where that whole like thoughts manifest too. It's kind of like, as science has told us that even like right now, all of us are literally blinking in and out of existence X amount of hundreds, thousands of times every second. Because you can't find the electron that comprises our atom at one point. It just kind of bump, 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 in and out of reality. So, but yeah, we can do a whole show on that and the direct applications. And maybe that's one of the things that we can talk to Andy Basiago about too at some point. Because yeah, and actually all those applications are something that eventually I'll really get into, because like I said, I'm really about psychic empowerment, and I really like to try to awaken everyone to their potential here, because we all are Jedi here. We all are God machines. We all are truly badass. So it's time for us all to realize that, and that there is no separation between us. Hierarchy isn't necessary. We are holographic. So it's time that we realize this and manifest all this. And so, like I said, I really highly suggest, you know, checking out some of those UFO cases, though, and checking out some of the analysis done on them. It helps to be well versed in there. And I did see the question about the flyers, and what the question in terms of the flyers for those in the chat room. The Universal Truth Evolution, we want to get together flyers with these kinds of links and information for those, and we'll post them as images more than likely on our Facebook and eventually our website, where everyone can download and print them out. And if they want to hand them to acquaintances or friends that might be interested, or if you feel like just really annoying people on the street, by all means, so why not, right? With these things, you know, might as well, because obviously we have to do something. So, so hopefully we'll have those flyers within the next week here or so, within the next few days, and there'll be updates too. They might just be very, very simple at first, and then as time goes on, they'll be more elaborate. And this is a good time too to ask for anyone who wants to help comprise any of these, if they have information they'd like to share in terms of tangible, quick facts or links that want to contribute to things, subjects like 9/11, like the Fed, like the ET cover-up, all these things like that, so we can comprise a database of different flyers that people can use and point to help, you know, awaken people to some of these facts. So we'll this is going to be an ongoing effort, and I said there'll be evolutions of these until one day, hopefully. It just won't be necessary because everyone will finally know. So we always got to do what we can. So the show is just about to close here. So I want to thank everyone once again, and just let everyone know if anyone is interested in maybe hosting their own show with us, get in contact with myself or Tamara and talk to us, and we can see about maybe doing that. And if you can contribute any other way to the Universal Truth Evolution, please do so. Until then, I will see everyone next time, and I hope everyone has an outstanding day. Rock on and keep asking those questions.
aging varnish haze. Breathe Alaskan to its flow through my flexing tube. Inward heart, dry and dry once more. Mounting post, dark and high, key fellowship, straighten and strengthen this, pour again, and again, distant blows that you spinning thin, accurately from two comfort nexus. Here, emergency burst from intermittent light, creeping shadows on phone. Atomic weight, drizzle elegantly over arrangements. My arrangements, heading teeth and loaded crescents. Spikes eject, connecting love. 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 Frozen moments can hide. Something secret, new and red and mashed. In real time, sweet and candid. For a millisecond time, milled about the intense little hole. No reason, just a candle in my hand. And I'm the leading watch.